Good morning, everybody. Okay, so this lesson today will support you with the work that you completed yesterday. I believe that yesterday's video for some reason didn't work. There must have been some sort of technical fault. So I've recorded this lesson today. I want you to watch the lesson very carefully, look at the method that we've used, because you will undoubtedly have completed yesterday's work, but without looking at these methods. So there's probably going to be some mistakes or something that you want to clarify. So watch this lesson carefully. Watch the two methods that I use and then go back and look at your work and think, did I use that method? Can I resubmit some of my questions using the correct method? Okay, so we're going to look at the first question, which is 918 divided by 17. And when we're using long division, there are two ways of doing this. The first is long division by sharing. The second is long division by grouping. We're going to look at sharing first. Now, when I divide by sharing, if I set that into a bit of a context, I could say that I am at a party and I have got 918 sweets. And I know that I have got 17 people at my party. What I don't know is how many sweets each person is going to get. So that is an example of sharing 918 between 17 people, but I don't know how much everybody needs. Okay, so let's look at what that looks like as long division. So I set it out the same way as I do when I'm working with short division. So I have my 918 divided by 17. I've got my dividend and my divisor here. Okay, now I'm looking at this part here. Now, whereas with short division, our aim is to look at the number in the first column. When we're in long division, because our divisor is usually a two-digit number, I'll just move that a bit closer, we're not able to just look at this first digit, because what that is saying is, how many equal groups of 1700s can I get from 900? Now, we know that's 0 because we're unable to divide 900 into 17 equal groups, or groups that have got 1700s in. So we extend it and we now look at our hundreds and our tens. Now we know that number is 910. So we're now saying, how many equal groups of 17 can I get from 910? So we're going to look at dividing 910 by 17. Now, to be able to do that, what most of us do is say, well, I'm going to use that as 91, and I would count up in my multiples of 17 until I get to 91. So we've got 17, and the easiest way to do this is add 20 and take 3 off each time. So 17, and then it's 34, add 20 would be 54, take off 3 would be 51. 51 add 20 would be 71. Take off 3 will be 68. 68 add 20 would be 88. Take off 3 would be 85. And then I think I'll go to one more. 85 add 20 would be 105. Take off 3 would be 102. So I've counted up in my multiples of 17. I can double check. 17 and 34. 34 add 20 would be 34, 44, 54. Take off 3 would be 51. 51 would take me to 71. Take off 3 is going to be 68. 68 would take me to 88. Take off 3 would be 85. 85, 95, 105, take off 3 is 102. So I definitely know I've got my multiples of 17 correctly. So now we're going back to our original question. How many 17s are in 91? Well, we can see that our closest multiple is 85. It's not 91 because 91 isn't a multiple of 17, but it's 85. So that either tells me that I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multiples of 7 in the number 85, or I have 50 multiples of 17 in the number 910, or the number 850, so we're making it 10 times bigger. So my 5 goes here, and we've just said that's because that represents 50. There are 50 17s in 850. There are 50 17s in 910. Now what I record under here is my closest multiple. So the multiple that I was able to get to, the closest one, which here is 85. Now we know we're writing down 85, but we know that represents 850 because we're saying that we have multiplied 17 by 50 and not just 5. And then here, where it's different compared to short division, we'd normally put our remainder here, what's left over, but we record that underneath here. So 91 subtract 85 is 6. So far we have split our dividend, 918, into 850, and then we're looking for the next part. Now I know 850 add 68 gets me to my whole dividend, which is 918. So I am going to pull that 8 down here, and the next dividend becomes 68. So I have split my 918 into 850, divided it by 17, and now I'm splitting it into 68 and dividing that by 17. Now because we've got our multiples of 17 here, we can quickly see that 68 is a multiple of 17, and it's a multiple 4 times. 4 lots of 17 are 68. That's division by sharing. I want to do another division by sharing, but this time I want to use a bigger dividend, and we'll have a little look at what the difference is there. Okay, so we're still going to look at division by sharing, but this time we're going to look at a number that has a bigger dividend. And the reason we're doing this is because previously we were able to say how many 17s went into 91, and we just looked at our hundreds, our tens column. Well, first of all, our new dividend has now got 4 digits. And second of all, hopefully you've noticed that we can't split these first 2 numbers, this 82, into 89, because that number is smaller than our divisor. So it means we extend it and we use the full 3 digits. So this time we're saying our starting question is 827 divided by 89. So we now need to think, well, I now need to know my multiples of 89. Now listing our multiples of 89 up to 827 would take an awful long time. So we need to try and use what we know now. So I might start with, well, I know that 89 multiplied by 100 is 8,900. Now I know that that's useful, but actually that number is bigger than my dividend. So I know that my answer is going to be less than 100. So I might say, well, actually I'll try 89 times by 90. So to do that, I'm going to do 89 times by 9, and then I'm going to make that 10 times larger. So 89 times by 9, I might do a quick short division. 89 times by 9. So we've got 9 times by 9, which is 81. And then we've got 8 times by 9, which is 72. Add my 8 is 80. So I'm left with 801. So if I put that here, I've got to make it 10 times bigger, is 8,010. Now that is smaller than my dividend, so it works. So I could put my 8,010 here, because what I'm saying now is my 8,227 is too big a dividend. So I want to see what is my closest multiple of 89. So this is the difference now between our sharing and our grouping, because I'm now looking for groups of 89. So I'm going to put my 8,010 underneath here. So how many 89s went into 8,010? Well, we said it was 90. So the first part of my quotient is going to go there. And then similar to our previous method, we're going to subtract to see what we've got left. So we've got 7 take away 0 is 7, 7 take away 1 is 6, 2 take away 0 is 2, and 8 take away 8 is 0. That's now left me with a dividend of 267. Now, just like we did before, let's check that 8,010 at 267 is equal to our whole, which was 8,277. And that's correct, it does. So we know that we're on the right tracks. So now we've got to think, well, how many 89s can I get into the number 267? So we think, well, it's definitely got to be more than 1. Could it be 2? Well, I know 2 will get me to about 160. So I think it could be 3. So I'm going to use short multiplication like I did before and multiply 89 by 3. So 9 multiplied by 3 is 27. 8 multiplied by 3 is 24. Add my 2 is 26, or 260. So I know that there are 3 89s in the dividend 267. So my 3 goes here. So the big difference between sharing and grouping. With sharing, we worked up in lots of small multiples of 17. With grouping, we've grouped our 89 as much as we possibly can. And we've said, well, I know that 9 lots is a close multiple to 8,277. Let's divide by that. Let's see what's left over. So you can choose which method you prefer to use. For dividends where you can divide your divisor by the first 2 digits, sharing is a good method to use. Where you've got a situation like this, when the divisor is larger than the 2 digits in your dividend, grouping is a better method to use. So I want you to move between both of those methods, look through the sheet. Which ones could you use sharing for? Which ones do you think you need to be able to group with? Okay.